Bondage, choking, pregnant.
Femdom flogging.
MILF stuff.
Deep throats.
Asian.
Ass.
Amateur.
Yes, I watch porn. I've watched lactation porn before.
Anything with bears.
Once a week.
Once or twice a week.
A couple times a week.
I think that porn is good for people to learn and experience things.
Despite what these weak individuals are saying about watching pornography, you cannot disagree with me that watching pixels on a screen is not normal at all. If you can't control your sexual urges as a man, you are bound to fail. And it wasn't until I overcame these urges that I actually realized the impact it was having on my life. And if you're still addicted to this form of entertainment in 2025, you need to make it a priority to actually overcome it. All right, boys, conquering lust is essential if you do want to become the best version of yourself. If you do want to truly tap into your ultimate true potential, you must conquer your lust. Now, I think this is obviously a very massive issue that a lot of young men struggle with, myself included. I struggled with it from a young age. And it wasn't until I actually overcame my lust and I overcame my porn addiction that I actually realized how important it is and how much it can actually affect your life. And I just want to start this video by just saying, do you feel good after doing it? You know, in the moment you might see a certain piece of content, you might see a certain video and you might get hyped up, you might get excited, you get your Vaseline out, you start doing it, and then after you do it, you feel like absolute shit. You feel guilty, you feel terrible, you feel disgusting, you get that post-nut clarity. I cannot ever, every single young guy, like my friends and even other guys that talk about on the internet, no one ever feels good after they rub one out, ever. And if you constantly find yourself with these feelings of regret and disgust after doing it, listen to everything I say in this video because it's going to be very valuable to you. Now, the impact that pornography had on me at a young age. Now, I was literally taught in school, you're doing sex education classes, and the teacher's saying that masturbation for young men is quite a normal thing, and all your friends are doing it, and it's like, you know, it's a meme or whatever. You got sexualized content on Instagram and all these social media platforms. You think that is quite a normal thing, but I didn't realize the impact it was having on my life until I actually overcame it. I had low self-confidence. You know, I'm feeling constantly guilty of myself because I'm doing something disgusting. I'm splurging on myself. I'm doing it before school, and I'm carrying like a shame with me. I just felt inferior, and it's quite a toxic relationship because the highs are high. Like when you're doing it, you're like, oh my God, this is so good. But then after you do it, you literally go down the lowest low because you feel so bad about it. It just massively impacted my confidence. It massively impacted my drive. And what I noticed, you know, obviously now, as someone that doesn't indulge in that sort of form of entertainment, you realize that you don't really see women as women when you're addicted to pornography. You see them as like this object or this foreign creature, like, oh my God, a woman, like all you do for women is just have sex with a woman, and you just see them as this different type of person. Like, it's very odd. If you got to think, right, if you've never had sex and you're constantly, or you've never had an interaction with a woman, let alone sex, and the only time you're seeing women is naked or, you know, doing some crazy stuff with a man or whatever, you're going to view that woman very, very differently. Or when you do see a woman on the street, or when you're having a conversation with a woman, you can't have a natural conversation because your brain is so sexually fried. You're constantly putting pressure on yourself. You can't relax in that situation. So you don't actually see women as women. And it's quite a big issue because you're not going to be able to get as many women as you want if you're not confident with women. And you're seeing them as this foreign creature due to the fact you're consuming all of this entertainment. Being horny is literally a superpower. What is the one hormone that separates men from women? Testosterone. When you get these urges, when you get this influx of, you know, these sexual urges and stuff like that, it just means there's a spike in testosterone. Obviously, viewing certain pieces of content, having something pop up on your Instagram feed or something, it can trigger that as well. But, you know, in the morning when you're horniest, before bed when you're horny or whatever, it's a good thing. And I don't want you to keep wasting it. You can't keep wasting your energy. This is life force. Your semen can literally create another human being, and you're just wasting it because you're like, oh, I feel a little bit horny right now, and you just spunk it all over yourself, bro. Being horny is literally a superpower. And I had this sort of realization many years ago when I first started doing it. After I overcame these urges, like really wanted to do it, like when I first started nofap, and then I overcame the urge because it's literally just a temporary spike in, you know, horniness or whatever. It goes away after a few you know, half an hour or an hour or whatever. And then after you overcome that urge, you just feel more powerful, you're more energetic, you're more focused, you're more confident. So you need to embrace that. Stop freely wasting that on yourself and spunking all over yourself, because being horny is literally a superpower. And if you're wasting that, you're just going to be a docile version of yourself. You're going to be a weaker version of yourself as well. And just because you're horny, it doesn't mean you need to bust a nut. I think our brains, you know, especially if you're still addicted to pornography now, or you have been in the past, our brains are basically through pornography have been wired that every time you get an urge, you need to bash one out. That's not the case. It's just a temporary spike in testosterone. And if you enhance that power, you're going to be a better version of yourself. So I want you to feel embarrassed, because if you're not embarrassed, you're not going to want to change. You're not going to have that burning desire to change. If you're someone that's a little bit stubborn and you think, I don't need to overcome pornography, it's not affecting my life that much, or maybe you're on the fence, or maybe you do want to overcome it and you need that little push or whatever, I'm going to start making you feel embarrassed, starting with the fact that you are a cuck. And why are you a cuck? Because you're watching a man and a woman have sex, and you're the third person in a scenario, watching two other people have intercourse, and you're literally watching it. That is so odd. This is the reason why there's so many people with cuck fetishes nowadays. I personally believe it's because people have been brainwashed into thinking that you can watch two other people having sex and get off on that. If you actually deep it, that's actually a very weird thing. Like, there's so many guys that are like, oh yeah, watching porn is not that bad, but you're literally a cuck in the scenario. You're watching two other people have intercourse, and you're observing and getting off to that. You're literally giving yourself a cuck fetish through watching porn, and you're watching pixels on the screen. If you're watching a video, you're seeing like an image and you're fucking bashing one out. If you zoom in, you're gonna see little color particles, little color pixels on the screen. That is what you're looking at. This is not real. This is a false sort of projection of what is real. This is not a real thing. If you look at it, there's going to be little tiny little squares, and you're getting off of pixels on a screen. So what was my breaking point with my porn addiction? Obviously, from the age of like 11, 12, you start getting into it. You start, oh my God, what is this? You type up boobs on like Google, whatever, and then you go down this rabbit hole and it consumes your life. But what was my actual breaking point? Now, I had a job in lockdown, and I did it in the toilet. I don't mind being transparent about this, because I feel like it's going to help people. They might just think, who is this guy? What is he talking about? How is he qualified to talk about what he's talking about? But genuinely, that was a breaking point for me. And the post-nut clarity I got from that, I will never, ever forget. And I finished my shift, and I probably just sat there like, what the fuck did I do? Like, that is the most odd thing I ever did. Of course, like, lockdown, I wasn't seeing as many women. It was very different back then. But at that point then, I knew I had to change. I was going to the gym and stuff like that, but I hadn't overcome lust. But that was my breaking point. I did it at my workplace, and I was like, this is absolutely disgusting. I need to really change my life now. Now, there's a few different things that I did to overcome my porn addiction. A lot of these seem very obvious, and they seem like, oh, it's easier said than done. But if you value this, if you know how much your porn addiction is affecting your life, these are things you need to implement. And overcoming a porn addiction, for me personally, is not that difficult. You just need to eliminate some things and add in some things to your life. Now, starting with being busy. The times where you're alone and you're not doing anything and you're sat on your bed for half an hour, they're the times where you're going to be more tempted to go and watch that form of content. You know, when you're sat doom scrolling on Instagram after a long day at work or a long day at school, whatever, or college, and you come across some content, of course your mind's going to start wandering. That's when the devil gets you, when you're alone, when you've got nothing to do, when you're bored or whatever. So being busy and being like, right, now it's time for bed, turn off my phone or whatever, or turn off all my notifications, shut down all my apps. You know, you need to have a set schedule. You need to be as busy as possible, because the times when I did it the most was when I was doing nothing, you know, at home on a Saturday, and I'm doing it multiple times a day because I had nothing to do. But then I implemented being more busier, going to the gym, seeing people, doing loads of things at the weekend, and suddenly it just became so much easier for me to actually overcome my porn addiction. The second thing you need to do is you need to clean your social media. If you've got, you know, if you go onto your explore page and you've got loads of fucking girls twerking their batties, mate, like OnlyFans models doing all these weird ass videos, or you've got like BBLs, or you've got, I don't know, e-girls or whatever, that is obviously going to be a trigger for you, whether you realize it or not. Subconsciously it's going to be in your mind somewhere. You might not get the urge instantly, but you might see it and then 10 minutes later think, oh, I'm really horny now. Like, You've subconsciously like embedded it into your mind. So cleaning your social media is very, very key, because there's a lot of softcore porn on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube Shorts, and you need to take that away. You need to take a power away from these social media companies and these creators and these models and these OnlyFans girls. You need to clean your social media. Whenever you get some content that you know is going to give you an urge, or gives you an urge, you need to press not interested, and don't show content like this, or whatever they call it on Instagram and TikTok or whatever. That is what you need to do. You need to clean your social media. Now, this one here is easier said than done. I know it is, but just stop in the moment. There should be a moment when you're undoing your pants, when you're putting some moisturizer on your hands and you're searching for the perfect video and your mouth breathing. There should be a moment when you go, what the fuck am I doing? What am I actually doing right now? Like, can you imagine if there was a camera in your room and you could re-watch the footage of you actually doing it? You'd look like an absolute bellend, mate. So you need to just stop in the moment and think, what am I actually doing here? Like, I'm by myself, getting myself all prepared, all giddy to fucking run out. You need to stop in a moment and actually realize what you're doing. There should be a moment that ticks in your brain, or you need to implement that next time you're doing it. Like, just think for 5 seconds, what the fuck are you doing? And then put your phone down. And then what I would recommend you to do, if you do get an urge or you do get to that point, is just go for a walk. Now, if you leave your phone in the house and you go for a walk for 20 minutes, you go sit on a park bench and you just go for a walk, that urge is going to go away because your mind has been distracted, your mind has gone to other things. And this is a free thing to do. You don't have to pay money to do it. Just get your sneakers on and go for a walk and clear your mind. Go and meditate on a bench for 5 minutes. Do whatever you need to do, because like I said, you need to be busy. The devil's going to catch you and these urges are going to come in when your mind is idle. So keep yourself busy, go on a walk. And the last thing you need to do is you need to identify your triggers and then get rid of them. If there's certain triggers that you know are triggers in your life and you're not taking action to actually remove them, what are you doing? You need to get rid of them as soon as possible. And I'm not even just talking about like actually watching porn. Like, there's going to be certain things that pop up on social media. There's going to be certain images that get you excited to do it. Whatever is causing your triggers, you need to identify them and you need to get rid of them as fast as possible if you truly do want to overcome your lust. And I just want you to remember that you are in control of your mind. Watching pornography and obviously masturbating is quite an impulsive thing, but you are in control of your mind. You know, your brain will tell you to do something, but ultimately you're the person that is in control of the actions you do. And I don't want you to feel like this is something that you're not in control of, you can't overcome. This is something you absolutely can overcome. I've done it myself. I know many people that have done it in my community as well. This is something that you are in control of, and I don't want you to feel lost and feel like this is something bigger than you. You absolutely can overcome this, and one of the best ways to learn how to conquer your mind is this book right here, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. An amazing book. Obviously, it's not about pornography or how to overcome pornography, but it teaches you how to think and how to use your brain to actually better your life. And honestly, this is a very short book. It's like 150 pages, I think, and it's honestly one of them books I'm going to give to my nephew when he's older, my sons when they're older, because honestly, it's such a good book. So if you do want to, you know, if you're taking action with identifying your triggers and you want to learn how to master your mind more in depth, definitely get this book. It's going to cost you £15, and it's honestly one of the most valuable books I've ever read ever. So if you do have a burning desire to improve yourself in all areas of life, then check out my school community. I do actually have a Conquer Lust course inside, which I think is very valuable. Everything I implemented to actually overcome lust completely. Of course, I've given you quite a lot of value in this, but there's just a few extra things and more. I go more in depth on how to overcome it. And you can also improve mentally through the self-improvement course, and then financially with match bet and digital dropshipping, reselling, TikTok shop, and so many other side hustles that I teach within there. So boys, if you do want to improve yourself in all areas of life with a like-minded community, go and check that out, linked down below. But boys, I hope this video has been valuable to you. Like I said, if you have a porn addiction or you struggle with lust, this should be your #1 priority, because it can hold you back in so many different ways you didn't even know it was. And once you overcome it, you'll finally realize, oh my days, I've been living life at 50% because of this addiction. And I hope this has maybe inspired you, maybe it's woke you up, maybe it's helped you realize you do have a problem. And like I said, make sure you're fucking taking action on it, because it is very important and it can hold you back. Boys, make sure you like the video, sub to the channel, follow me on Instagram for more daily content, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.